Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Culture Report. I'm Jamal Simon.
I'm DeMarco Randall.
And I'm Antonia Velez.
And we have plenty to get to today. We have
Yes, we do.
so many
about.
things that we missed.
So pumped.
We got a little rap beef to get into, breakdown. You don't want to miss that. I have a really special story with a friend of the show that you guys are going to see.
It's like the best part of the show.
It's really, really fun. We're going to talk about Met Gala. People are mad about a lot of things, but in order to get into that, I'll toss it over to Antonia.
All right. Well, first things first. Israel's escalated military operations in Rafah and northern Gaza have led to the displacement of more than 500,000 additional Palestinians. In the north, the Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, are battling militants in places they claim to have cleared of Hamas troops previously, according to the Associated Press. Now, meanwhile, Israel continues to advance into Rafah, a city in the south of Gaza where more than 1 million people were seeking refuge. The United Nations said around 450,000 people fled Rafah after Israel ordered a partial evacuation. The IDF has been fighting militants in Rafah since, and Israel insists it must launch a full-scale attack on the city in order to destroy Hamas, despite international pressure against it. In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said not only does Israel lack a plan to protect civilians in the event of a Rafah invasion, but an attack like this would not even guarantee the eradication of Hamas.
The trajectory that Israel is on is even if it goes in and takes heavy action in Rafah, there will still be thousands of armed Hamas left. We've seen in areas that Israel has cleared in the north, even in Khan Yunis, Hamas coming back. So the trajectory right now is that going into to Rafah, even to deal with these remaining battalions, especially in the absence of a plan for civilians, risks doing terrible harm to civilians and not solving the problem, a problem that both of us want to solve, which is making sure Hamas cannot again govern Gaza.
Now, in the interview, Blinken also referenced a recent report by the Biden administration that found that Israel's use of U.S.-provided weapons likely violated international humanitarian law. Now, despite this, the Biden administration told lawmakers Tuesday that it plans to move forward with an arms sale to Israel worth $1 billion per AP. The October 7th Hamas attack to southern Israel killed around 1,200 people and about 250 were abducted. Since then, Israel's 7-month offensive in Gaza has killed more than 35,000 people, the majority being women and children, according to AP.
And right now, hundreds of celebrities are in queue for the digital guillotine, or digitine, as the kids are calling it. So for months, years really, people have been calling out celebs for not using their platform to speak out about social, political, and humanitarian issues. But things seem to reach a tipping point after this year's Met Gala. TikToker Haley Khalil seemed to get the brunt of the initial wave of criticism after posting a TikTok in her Met Gala outfit with a trending sound that quotes the 2006 film Marie Antoinette. Activists were quick to call her out.
Let them eat cake.
Haley Bailey, for your ignorant decision to attend the $75,000 ticket Met Gala and recite "Let them eat cake" while you have done nothing with your 10 million follower platform as people are starving and dying, we sentence you to the digitine.
Okay, so Haley did speak out after, and her apology was like 8 minutes long. First, she clarified she was not invited to the Met Gala. She did not go. She did not spend $75,000. She said she was invited by E! News to join them at a hotel for coverage of the Met Gala.
Right.
And also, she says that she doesn't speak on social issues because she would hate to speak out on something and spread misinformation about a topic that she isn't well versed on or doesn't know much about.
Right.
So my question is, do we care? Well, clearly people care. Do you care if celebrities that you follow speak out on social issues?
Here's what I will say. I think what her response was very fair. Obviously, we don't want to spread misinformation in any way, shape, or form ever. With that being said, though, she is in quite a privileged position in multiple ways. And I think she has more than enough resources to educate herself and use her platform to educate others and kind of be an advocate for people who sometimes might not be able to advocate for themselves. And so in that way, I think that, you know, I do appreciate when people I look up to use their privilege and their platform to speak on issues that, you know, matter.
Right.
Yeah.
I just feel like with this also, it's so, like black and white. Like if you don't speak out on something, then you're condemned. Like you're just like this bad person. But if you do speak out, and you might not know like the whole situation, but you know you're still speaking out, and people are okay with that. I feel like it's kind of a cop out to be like, well, I don't really know what's going on. I feel like it's a choice. I
Yeah.
feel like it's a decision because it's out there.
It is.
They know what's going on.
Yeah.
But granted, one, I'm like, well, me personally, I mean, it's always nice when someone that I enjoy stands up for causes that I believe in. I'm like, I knew we were besties. I knew I liked you.
Yeah.
But if they don't, it's like, also you have to think about it. It's like, okay, maybe there's a reason why. Maybe they have to shield themselves from it for their own mental health. Maybe they have family over there that's impacted.
true.
Maybe,
That's true.
I don't know, maybe they just don't want to get involved and they're trying to protect their own peace. That stuff is hard. Like, even just watching those videos can be traumatic. And I know that I sound very privileged because we're able to like turn off the TV and be like, I don't want to think about that right now, when
Totally.
people are definitely suffering right now. But I'm like, you can't just live in that 24/7.
And I agree with you. I am
People need an
more
escape. I feel like people watch our videos as like an escape, like to have a laugh, have a good time.
totally. But I will say that her response is kind of what irks me in this regard.
Grant, she did say, she was like, and that's my fault. Like, I
Exactly.
could learn more. She
And-
did at least
And
acknowledge
okay,
that.
and that is good. I mean, I do think, like I said, I don't think that people should necessarily be like punished and their careers taken away. But I mean, these kinds of conversations and these discourses, like they need to happen in order for more people who have these platforms to use them for a good cause.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that this push is a little necessary, in my opinion.
Do you have some celebrities in line for the digitine?
No, I also don't believe in that term.
Okay.
It kind of irks me as well.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for this, see who gets digitined?
Who gets
Digitized.
Yeah.
No.
Digit.
Anyway, now to some other celebrities who are using their platform to who knows what. We know y'all have
These
been
guys.
Who knows what?
into
Who
the
knows what?
Kendrick and Drake beef. But before we get into that conversation, Lord help me. Okay, we have a little timeline. I'm gonna try to like catch y'all up as
got
fast as I
this.
can. Okay, y'all. So if y'all didn't know, like Kendrick and Drake, they were cool at first in 2011. They collaborated with each other, went on tour. But 2 years later, in 2013, things got shook up. So Kendrick dropped the Control verse on Big Sean's song Control. He called out all these rappers, basically said like he was the best in the game and he was going to end their careers. Drake didn't like that. So in October, Kendrick doubled back and called Drake sensitive in his BET cypher and was like,
Oh, no.
dude, like, what's the problem? And then in March of 2015, he came out with King Kunta, and that's when he started, you know, pushing that Drake has a ghostwriter. He has other people writing his raps for him. So this is Kendrick 3 for 3, just going after Drake nonstop. Then in June 2015, Drake fires back and says like, oh, I could have taken your fans if I didn't go pop. But in October 2023, we're getting more recent, on First Person Shooter with J. Cole kind of gave Kendrick some praise and said that Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole were the big three rappers. Well, this year, actually, Kendrick came back and said, actually, no, it's not big three, it's just big me. I don't know about y'all. So finally, Drake pushed back and released Push Ups. It was just a diss track. He was just calling him short and saying that he handed Kendrick all of his success.
The album cover.
And then the Taylor Made freestyle, which featured like AI voices of Snoop Dogg, and Tupac.
Weird,
came
by
out.
the way.
And he was
Weird.
just poking Kendrick like, respond, it's been
Yeah.
a week, respond.
Yeah.
So that's what he did with Euphoria. He responded, and basically the whole track was like, I hate Drake. I hate how he dresses. I hate how he talks. I hate how he walks. I hate Drake. That was the whole track. And then on May 3rd, he released another track called 616 in LA, basically telling Drake like, hey, you got some snakes in your camp. People in your team are coming to me, telling me all this information. Then the same day, Drake drops Family Matters, basically saying, Kendrick, like, your wife cheats on you, you beat your wife, and your kid is not yours. So he's starting to throw out domestic abuse allegations. That's when on May 4th, Meet the Grams comes out. Kendrick exposes that Drake allegedly has like a secret daughter, which isn't too far from believability because he did it already with his son, a whole
Yep.
secret son.
Son.
So, May 4th, again, Not Like Us comes out. Come on. That's when the pedophile allegations, he's saying like Drake is attracted to A minor.
The single cover again.
All the things, it's kind of crazy and a hit. And then the last, song in this saga is The Hard Part 6, where Drake is he's basically firing back at all the allegations, saying he's too famous to have done all the things that Kendrick is accusing him of. And, he also says he's not a pedo. But as we're right here, right now. Not Like Us by Kenrick Lamar is #1 on Billboard, and Drake hasn't really responded.
It's a banger.
The last thing we heard from Drake was he posted on his story saying like, "Oh, that was fun. Time for summer vibes. Time for the summer."
Yeah.
And Kendrick's sitting pretty with a nice #1 hit.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, do you think this was necessary? And who won? I mean, there's a clear answer, but I'll let you guys.
Yeah.
I'll go towards DeMarco. How do you feel?
Take the mic.
Okay, I'll take the mic just for a second. Thank you. All right. Honestly, it's like everybody's dream, right? Mm-hmm. You get rap beef, like top of the top. These rappers are going at each other.
Absolutely.
From my perspective, I was like, damn, like these are two people who I loved. Like I loved listening to their music so much. Mm-hmm. And it had me have that feeling of like, why aren't they just making quality like music where they're collaborating with one another like they've done in the past?
Didn't you hear Euphoria?
Yeah,
Kendrick
that's-
hates
Like,
Drake.
I will
he hates
say-
the way he dresses. He hates the way he talks. He hates everything about Drake.
Yeah, but also,
What do you mean?
Like the individual songs, I think were really good.
Oh, they were great. Actually, Drake he was almost toe to toe with Kendrick. Kendrick's like one of the greatest lyricists I've ever witnessed in my entire life. And the fact that Drake, Jimmy,
I mean,
kept up.
Drake ?
That was-
Ghostwriter ?
Well, yes, maybe Ghostwriter or not. Like he put it out,
Yeah.
he signed his name on it. But I was like, this is insane. So honestly, kudos to Drake, but not
Yeah.
for that last one where he was like, I'm too famous. If I were a pedophile, I would have been arrested, right? And I'm like,
Girl.
that's the defense?
Honestly,
Right.
that was the most bizarre thing out of all of this.
Well,
I was
and-
like, is that really what you're going to say? Because we all know. We know a lot of famous
Yep.
people who are pedophiles.
Yes.
That should not be your defense.
And and then also Drake was also saying like in that song like, oh haha Kendrick, like I got people on my team to feed you fake information, so no, I don't really have a daughter. And everybody's like, this sounds like a lie. Because if
That's what I'm
if that
saying.
were
I
true,
feel like
if that were
it's not
true,
real.
Aubrey,
I feel like this
you
is
would have
not a
provided the
true rap
receipt.
beef. I feel like they're just the only people benefiting from this rap beef are the two of them.
Good.
They're making money
How
off
else
of
would they
all
do
of
it?
us.
How else would they do
Everybody
it?
talking
How
about
else
it.
would they do
Everybody
it?
playing these streams.
This-
What do you mean? How else?
This was the perfect way to. I mean, okay, let's say I know you wanted them to sit down, kumbaya,
No, I don't
in a
even
spirit
need
circle.
that.
And I know you didn't want them to release diss tracks. That's what you said. You said you didn't want them to release diss tracks, and that's okay. But it's like if a football player has beef with another football player on a different team, guess what? They're gonna take. If they do it out on the field, let's see who wins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If a boxer
I just
has
also-
beef with another boxer,
I also feel like in Drake's kind of like not defense, but on his side, a lot of these people that are coming out against him, he helped bring up.
true.
Yeah.
He helped put on a lot of these people.
Well, what does that say about Drake and his character if everyone's coming against him? I don't know. Maybe everyone's jealous, or maybe Drake has something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But I think the rap beef was great. Great job, guys. I think it was lovely.
I will say, though, I would love to see men holding other men accountable for being pedophiles or domestic violence in situations where they're not necessarily
Yeah.
rap beefing and benefiting from it.
I-
Keep your friends accountable.
I agree.
Not just in rap beefs.
And thank you for
Life.
keeping
For
it
real.
in the booth and on wax, because people have died from rap beefs. People's family have died from
True.
rap. People have lost their career to rap beef. So I appreciate you guys for keeping it in the booth, keeping it on wax, and yeah, love it. Shout out Kendrick. You ate that.
Yeah, he really did.
I still love you both.
Girl, keep it moving.
All right. And Target will be rolling out its Pride Month collection across select stores, highlighting LGBTQ-owned brands during Pride Month. Sounds great, right? However, this is in response to backlash and boycotts last summer during Pride Month, resulting in some of the LGBTQIA+ merchandise being pulled. The company says instead of offering the Pride Month collection across all stores, they will be, quote, offering a collection of products including adult apparel, home and food beverage items, curated based on consumer feedback. And for the first time in 114 years, the Boy Scouts is changing their name. The organization will now be known as Scouting America. It's a shift the organization is making as a result of bankruptcy following a flood of sexual abuse claims. The organization began allowing gay youth in 2013 and ended a blanket ban on gay adult leaders in 2015. And in 2017, girls were accepted as Cub Scouts. The name change will go into effect February 8th, 2025 as an attempt to become more inclusive.
Right, so as we all know, trying something new can be challenging. For pilots, that means months and months of training, and that's just the start. Now, a friend of the show and our trusty legal analyst is working on getting his own wings. My wingman, photojournalist Tom Cole, and I got to tag along as Whitney Traylor stepped into the cockpit. And we're taking you along for the ride.
Ground Cessna 70225 and Alpha 7 Alpha with information. India student pilot solo looking for touch and go.
A man of many hats.
Full-time tenured professor, managing principal of my law firm, 9 News legal analyst.
And perhaps the most important of all,
I had a very active role in my family as the uncle.
many a role, each one of service.
The professions that I did, it was like nobody called me unless they had an issue.
But over time, it takes a toll.
See, I got to a stage where I had a little bit of a breakdown. It was too much. I went through a deep depression, and I was really in a rut.
For Whitney Traylor, the only way out was up.
One of my goals was then to go for my bliss.
That bliss just so happened to be inside of a Cessna 172, 10,000 feet in the air.
In my circles, I never have heard anybody say, you know, hey, I'm thinking about being a pilot.
Well, he took it upon himself to become the first, starting at square one.
I know how to do that. I know the formula. I know how to get through school, kind of put your head down, do the work, and get it done. Here, this has been a little bit of a challenge because it's not coming as easy as I thought it would.
You're on tower. Yep. We're going to switch it over to ground. There you go.
The teacher becoming the student once more, in a class that's well worth the work.
When you get up there, there's so much going on, there's so many moving parts, literally and figuratively, that you can't think about your issues, your problems, you know, the past, the future. You are very present.
Now Whitney wants to share his bliss with younger generations who may not have the opportunity otherwise.
We have so much greatness in our youth, but they don't know what skills they may have until they're exposed and they have an opportunity to try different things.
133 Delta Whiskey, Space 4 Tower, hold short, runway 26.
Now that goal may be a ways away, but for the moment, there's still more to master.
You know, they say a good landing is one you walk away from. Nice. And so, but I still have lots of C- landings, you know, and so I'm trying to, you know, at least get to the B landings on a regular basis.
Oh, looking good. Nice landing.
And he's celebrating the little victories along the way.
That was a real moment of pride.
Whitney's first solo flight, marked with a special shirt-cutting tradition.
Sort of signifying that you're ready to go, you're soloing, you know what you're doing.
Whew. Now he has his eye on his next objective.
I also am really eager to get going, to get my license, but I have to just keep, that's the thing about aviation, you can't rush it.
And as he continues his journey, Whitney has a reminder for everyone with a dream.
A lot of times when we accomplish something, we just get it done and then we're looking for the next thing. And this, I'm able to really kind of stop for a second, take a breath and recognize, wow, I did this.
Whitney, thank you so much for coming back to the Culture Report.
I'm so happy to be here.
Such a big you always make me crack up. Stop. This is such a big accomplishment, though,
Truly.
and I want you to know that I'm really proud of you, and I'm so happy to see you in your element, doing all your stuff. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and opening up to me. I really appreciate it. But right now, I just want to know like where you're at currently in the process and what's next.
In terms of the flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just got back, excuse me, everybody. I just got back from Kansas City, actually. Me and another pilot friend, we flew out to see my family. So that was super exciting. And it was such a educational experience, but it was a confidence booster. So that's the thing about the flying. So I'm still working on my private. I'm hoping to, there's an issue with DPEs, so getting that scheduled. So I'm expecting to have my license in June or July if everything goes right. But there's so many factors, the weather, the plane being available, the DPE. So, you know, people have this plan to go forward with the flight process, but if they're really focused and trying to get it done in a certain time, there's a lot of factors that are out of your control.
Yeah.
Whitney, I remember talking with you like a few months ago about
Yeah.
you and like getting into your like piloting,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
This is so cool to see that story. I want to know what has been like some of the most fulfilling moments in this process?
Well, that's a great question. I think the learning process, because it's been a long time since I've been a student. I've been a professor, and you are always in a learning mode there. But here, as truly as a student, you know, my learning habits and techniques are different. Sitting down to study is different. But then there's so many confidence boosters and shakers through the whole thing. So there's some times where I was like, I got it. And then the next time I'd have these like 5 terrible landings. And I'm like, I don't have it. And so I think this is kind of a reflection, kind of an illumination of life. That, you know, it goes up and down and you think you're there and you're not. So you have to maintain that confidence. So for me, when I soloed, that was a huge, which we were there for. That was very significant, and it gave me such a confidence boost because while you're practicing, particularly your landings, you have your instructor with you. And I was always wondering, how much is my instructor actually helping? Right. And so when you solo, nobody's helping you. You totally got it. So that was a major confidence boost. And then I think this trip to Kansas City actually was a really another major confidence boost because it gave me a big picture in terms of where I am. So the stick and rudder flying, I'm doing well. I'm happy with that. You know, there was still a lot going on with the navs and the communications that I have to learn. The weather patterns I have to get down. So I think the solo and the Kansas City trip.
Yeah.
You said that, I know one of you said, like, one of the reasons you got into it is you said the practical. You're like, I can go visit my family. But also, you also really you have an interest in getting younger people involved. I know you said you're struggling. You know, it was a little harder for you to pick up right now. But, like, I'm sure if this opportunity were presented to you when you were younger, you probably would have hopped on it.
Completely, and that's a great point. I mean, just the exposure. I mean, for me, this has been fulfilling just by hipping people to the situation. Like so many people, we all fly, but nobody really thought, hey, maybe I should look into being a pilot. Right. And now there's a lot, you know, in my circle, there's a lot of young people, young men in particularly, young black boys that I really like to work with and help along. This is an amazing career. I mean, for anybody, but particularly for that community because we just don't, I mean, in my family, we have a lot of different people who do different things, but nobody's even thought about being a pilot. Yeah. Now that I'm flying, and I don't have my pilot license yet, I'm not in the industry, but there's, now people are like, this is something that I'm interested in. Yeah. And it's an excellent career. There's a pilot shortage. I mean, it's a great place to be. So that's been really nice to just open people's eyes. Because general aviation, one thing is I'm getting into it, there's people who jump in, they take their family on a road trip just like I would do in the car.
Crazy.
I didn't know that.
And it's normal. And they're like, oh, we're going to hop over and fly to Florida real quick.
Like really cool.
Yeah. No, and it just opens up so many doors. I have a brother in California. I have nieces in Atlanta. I have my mom in Kansas City. So just being able to connect. Now, some of those flights would be a long flight, but you know, you break it up and you can do it.
Well, Whitney, that's so awesome. And I know that like the kids that are growing up now and also want to become a pilot, seeing someone who looks like them That's huge. So, my kudos to you for what you're doing.
Well,
I'm curious how many, just off the top of your head, how many black pilots have you come across since you started flying or training?
that's a great question. In my personal life, none.
Wow.
I don't even know
Man in the
any.
mirror.
Come on, you said one of one.
I mean, I don't think, I haven't even thought about this. Now that you posed the question, I don't know that I know. I'm sure I know some people who have their pilot license that I just didn't know they have their pilot license. But an actual black pilot, I don't think I know any black pilots.
Well, now I do.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah,
Soon.
soon.
This summer. This summer.
And also, I know another big part of you getting into this was mental health, which we'll hop into in just a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was
But-
going to ask you about that, but let's get into this first.
Okay.
May is National Mental Health Month and has been since 1949, fun fact. It is the time to raise awareness about a topic that goes hand in hand with people's quality of life and something a big percentage of people struggle with in the United States. So according to the CDC, more than 1 in 5 adults in the United States live with a mental illness, and more than 1 in 5 people ages 13 to 18 are either currently experiencing a seriously debilitating mental illness or have at some point during their life. Now, findings from Mental Health America show that more than 12 million U.S. adults report having serious thoughts of suicide, the highest rate being among multiracial folks. So I kind of just wanted to open up the conversation to talk about our experiences with mental health, be it, something that we've personally experienced or seen a loved one experience, access to help and stuff, because I feel like, at least for me growing up, I think that I lacked kind of having these conversations, and I think there's a huge stigma around it. And I mean, what better month to talk about than May, Mental Health Awareness Month? Yeah. So if you want to start us off.
Wow, it's a broad question, but it is very relevant, and I've talked about it in private circles, but this is for sure the first time I've talked about it in a public setting. But I had I went through a serious depression, I guess, over the past few years. I had to actually, and it's interesting because everything that glitters is not gold. And I had, from the outside, I was doing really well. I was a full-time professor at MSU. I had my practice. I was the 9 News legal analyst. I was doing a lot of good things, but I got into a really deep depression, and I had to essentially, I retired from the school. I stopped practicing. And luckily, the school I was able, they had a disability program that I was able to use for that for about 4 semesters. And so I was able to, I had the abundant privilege of just being in my house. COVID hit right after. And I got low. I was experienced some suicidal ideation, and I wasn't sure if I would come out. And I'm still sort of getting my traction. A lot of my friends have said, hey, I don't see you out anymore. And that's what I had to do. I had to bring my circle way in because I was just doing too much. I didn't have boundaries. I said yes to everybody. And it's not sustainable. And I burned out pretty significantly. Right. And so now this is, part of coming out of that was what I say, as I said in the video, going for your bliss. And so for me, I was so fixated and focused on everybody else. And I'm good at that. I'm aware of other people's feelings and emotions and that kind of thing, but that's not sustainable. And you can, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't focus on it, then you can get in a hole. And if you looked at it from the outside, you say, this guy's got everything going, everything's fine. And I was drinking way too much. And so I stopped drinking. That made a significant impact. And so this is something that I'm still learning. Right. But it was touch and go for a while, and now I'm coming back. But I'm now focused on what do I need. And so for me, it's about boundaries and saying no to people, and that's really uncomfortable. It's still something I'm not good at all. Even here at the station, You know, there's times where it's like, I can't do that interview, but I don't want to let anybody down.
Right.
So that is, you know, for a lot of people, I think boundaries is a big issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Thank you so much for sharing that, by the way. I think that this whole thing is super inspiring, just seeing someone, you know, take their life and their happiness as a priority, and,
Yes.
and that's super admirable. So thank you so much for
course.
sharing that. And I think, I mean, it's really cool that today we have like people from different age ranges and experiences, and like you said, I mean, it seemed from an outsider's perspective that you were thriving, and that just wasn't the case. I mean, I can speak for myself. I think that, I mean, I've been in that situation where it's like everything in my like my surroundings, my work, my school, my GPA, my family, I'm so blessed and I'm so privileged. Like, why am I so miserable sometimes?
Yeah.
And I think what people kind of lack understanding, even within themselves, is that a lot of these things, like, you don't really get to choose. I, for one, I'm diagnosed with OCD, and a lot of that is inherited, but a lot of that can be just like chemical imbalances or like experiences that you have throughout your life that, you know, kind of have an impact on that. And I think talking about it, like, that just makes it more, for anyone who might be struggling, like, that just makes it less isolating,
Yeah.
I guess.
And to kind of echo what you were just saying, Antonia, I don't know if you can speak on this too, or you, Jamal. I feel like from myself growing up, like, having these conversations about mental health and like the effects that it can have, because it's invisible sometimes.
Yeah.
And the people who are dealing with them, great job at masking it.
Exactly.
You have no idea what they're going through.
Yeah.
So I feel like for my family, us being open and having conversations about the different sorts of mental health issues that might be happening, or like, what are the signs? What do these look like? Having those conversations made it 10 times better for, you know, even still today when I go through whatever episode I'm going through, whatever I'm feeling, I know that it's okay because I'm not the only person who has felt like that before.
Yeah, totally.
And now it's so much easier now, because early on, I mean, now there's always been research and things like that, but it's so common that now, you know, it's not that, hey, that person's weird, or, you know, why are you acting like that? You can start to see, hey, I think they're having some mental health issues, you know, and this is, I really want to, I hope people hear this, because at the time I was at my lowest, you cannot see beyond just right then. It feels like this is it. And some people don't make it out. And the reality is no condition is permanent. And so people have to remember, and I hope this, I can be some inspiration, or at least illuminate this idea to people that it does get better. And where I was, say, 2 years ago versus now is, I mean, I'm miles beyond. And so really no condition is permanent. It does get better. And in the moment, it feels like this is all there is. Like, I know people have described it like the depression, like a wet blanket. And it was like that. I would wake up and there were days I just cried all day long, you know. And for me, I now look back and I say, well, that was a time to purge. And, you know, I still do that, but you know, that's part of the process. And that's the thing. It does change, and it does get better, and that's the only constant is change. So everybody just stay strong and
Hold
just
on tight.
try and get through. You know, they say 24 hours at a time.
Yeah, and seek help too. Like, there's no shame in that.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you. I know you said I hope someone seeks inspiration, and just to like wrap things up a little bit, a little full circle. As I've been writing this story, it's been months in the making, y'all. Like, y'all don't even want to know the process.
You did such a good
But
job, by the way. You and Tom.
Thank you so much. But
slayed
as I was
that.
writing it, as I was like going through your interview, like it was 30 minutes, y'all. But like, I was going through your interview, I was like, one, it was heartbreaking. Two, I was like, it felt like a mirror. I was like, everything he's saying, I was like, this is me. I was like, it felt like me. So like these past 2 months, like, have been quite hell mentally, and like that actually made me like take a step back, really reassess things, reprioritize my time. And really think about what I want out of life. I've started like eating cleaner. I've been drinking less. My house
Good
is
for
clean.
you.
Things are, and I'm just like these little things, because it was like hard to get out of bed for like such a long time earlier this year. And now just taking it day by day and saying, like, you know what, you'll get out of this. And just prioritize yourself. You don't have to be everything for everyone.
Small victories are victories nonetheless.
Victories. We're good. So we're thriving. Everything's good. Good news all around.
And that's a great point, though, the little things, because when I look back on it, and I started going into depression before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, it was actually good for me. But there's so many, it's the little things, like I was doing yoga, I was taking walks, I was doing the therapy, I got a handwriting book and was just interested in handwriting. I started doing these little things. And so that's one thing that really helps. One thing is not going to bring you out of it.
Yeah.
It's all of these things over time. You know, that you gotta move your body. I mean, that is and if walking is all you could do, that's amazing. You don't have to do a hard workout every day. But all the little things together, that's what's gonna really get you traction. And it's about getting traction, you know, and for a long time, I just had no traction. I couldn't get it going. And now I'm still, like, if you see me out, it's gonna be rare. I still I'm sort of secluded, but I have traction, you know.
I love that. And traction is good news. And
Yes.
listen up, let's hop into more good news this week.
Get on a high note.
A therapist in Colorado founded a platform aimed at facilitating access to mental health resources, especially when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. The 2023 Colorado Health Access Survey found that more than 50% of LGBTQ plus adults reported poor mental health. The wellness app You Flourish allows people to access a database of mental health providers, and although it focuses on queer folks, anyone in Colorado can sign up to use this platform at no cost. The app is free to Coloradans for an entire year thanks to state grants.
And a venue in Colorado is opening a new sensory room. Blue Arena will be the first venue in Colorado to have something like this. People who attend concerts there who may have PTSD, autism, or anxiety will have a quiet space to regroup and hopefully rejoin events in progress. The goal is to provide a welcoming environment for everybody.
Wow. You guys have such healthy news. This is healthy too. We finally got a trailer for Wicked.
Yay!
The new movie musical starring Ariana Grande as Glinda and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. And we got our first listen of Ariana performing Popular. Kind of a big deal. No big deal, but kind of a big deal. And it doesn't stop there. NBC shared that the musical Witches will be making an appearance at the Olympics in Paris this summer.
Oh my God.
So the film hits theaters November 27th, just in time for Thanksgiving.
So
I never go to the theaters for Thanksgiving, but I will be there.
I will be there for my mental health.
In full regalia for my mental health. Whitney, thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
joining this week's Culture Report.
So happy to be on the Culture Report anytime. You all just call me up.
We plan on it.
Thank you. High five.
All right, thank you so much for joining this week's Culture Report. We'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on 9 News Plus and 9news.com.